Hey, man, you got to count backwards, not forwards. It's not one, two, three. It's three, two, one, action. Three, two, one, action. And in TV, it's three. It's you know, not one, two, three. My goodness, I got to teach this Michaels everything. I tell you. Hey, www.thepowerofvoices.com. The best way to start off a show is in mid conversation. You have no idea what I'm talking about. That's right. That's the best way I found to start off a show right here live at 5 to 6 every day, Monday through Friday. And yesterday was just a big snafu, a complete snafu. I think what happened when the police were chasing me down the street and I was making some left and rights. I think really what happened is I got myself all twisted around in the car with my cables all around my steering wheel, around my stick shift, my arm and my neck, and I think I twisted and bent a little bit the little receptacle thing that in the bottom of your smartphones. I think I kind of made that a little bit wider, and it was a terrible, terrible mess. But I did get away from the LAPD who were dogging me. Wow, they weren't really dogging me, but it was kind of cool. It was fun and it was exciting. Hey, this is Jesse Terrero. I'm back on the air in studio with you today, so we won't have that problem. And I think I've resolved my problem. I'm going to buy myself another cell phone, a smartphone, so I have two, one for backup, and that just can't happen to me again. So, it's good to be back here with you right now, live in the studio at www.thepowerofvoices.com on Thursday in Southern California, from the community to the world and all over, everywhere, on the air and everywhere. Good to have you here with us as we approach the humongous 4th of July weekend. How many of you guys going to bug out of town Friday, call in sick? How many are going to exercise that sick pay if you got it? If not, you're going to, get upset stomach at work. Oh, my stomach hurts, right? Go home early. Yeah, get off on that RV, get out of town, go to the beach, the mountains, wherever you're going, family, friends, whatever. Friday is always that kind of kickoff day. Traffic's going to be crazy. It's going to be bad on Friday. It's bad enough every day of the week here in Southern California. I don't know about your place where you live, but the traffic here is just awful 24/7. You could be out 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's still backing up. I feel so sorry for people that live right near a turnpike or right near a highway or a freeway like this, because they just never get any rest at all. There's constant accidents and noise and everything. It's just, I feel really bad about that when I drive down the freeway and I see people that live so closely. Those are hard houses to sell too, from a real estate point of view. Those are, when I get a listing like that, I go, oh, yikes, oy vey. Oh my goodness, how am I going to sell this one? But, there's a house for everybody, I suppose, in that respect. But it's good to have you along today. We are going to have some fun today on Thursday, and we've got some interesting topics to talk about. In fact, it's my day of observation. We have a day of rest. We have a day of relaxation. We have a day of stress. We have a day of excitement. Well, today is my day of observations. Yes, observations. Just driving around Southern California, driving around here and there and to and from, I just observe a lot of things. And I end up asking myself, why? Oh, why? Why? Oh, why? Why? Why is that happening that way? Why are they doing that? What happened there? Where did that come from? How did that happen? When can I get away from it all? And what? What? Really? Really? What? Yes, I drive around from business to business and meeting to meeting and with clients and running down through the real estate business and the entertainment business. And I'm on the freeway and the highways in Southern California here quite a bit. And I just observe the craziest things day and night, because sometimes I work very late in the entertainment business and the red carpets and all that stuff. And, day and night. So it is my day of observations. Right here at www.thepowervoices.com, the day of observations. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to look at things, and I'm just going to kind of try to figure it all out with you at 424-227-9461. You're welcome to chime in. Also, you can catch us on our social network services, and we have a new application. It's called You Now. We plug one punch into that, and we're out to many, many different social services like Tumblr, and we're also on Instagram, and it goes out to YouTube. It goes also to Facebook. I believe it goes out to a couple of others as well, other than that. And also, we're on YouTube Live as well, and it goes out to Stream Up. So we're live on Stream Up, too. So we're all around and everywhere. We got you here and there. We got you covered in every place that you can possibly find us. And right here on the radio, as we digitally broadcast from the community to the world at www.thepowerofvoices.com. And can't forget about AVTV live in our digital broadcasting network at facebook.com/Jesse Terrero. Okay. So for those of you watching, good to have you along. For those of you listening, good to have you along. And if you're watching and listening, today might just be an experience of a lifetime. Because you just never know what I'm going to do. It's Jesse T with you. Now, okay, I've come to the determination and the conclusion, and being at the ripe old age that I am, and I think I'm going to start lying about my age. Do you think I could pull off 35? I got some gray hair going here. I think I got a little too many wrinkles for 35. Yeah, my face isn't smooth enough for 35. Forget about it. Yeah, forget about it. Forget about it. 35 is out the door. Think I could pull off 40? Maybe with the right light and some makeup from the makeup department, and I don't move my face at all, and I sit like a mannequin, and I don't speak or talk, I could probably pull 40 for about 5 minutes. Yeah, maybe not 40. 40's kind of stretching a little bit. Look, I'm Italian, Mexican, and Spanish on one side, or Spanish, Mexican, and Italian, or Mexican, Spanish, and Italian, or Mexican, Italian, and Spanish, okay? Hey, I'm a Latino, 3 ways to not. Okay, on the other side, on my mother's side, I am Scott, Irish, French, and German on my mother's side. See, O-R-R. And it's really interesting. My parents, I realized this when I was in my 20s, and it blew my mind. My parents, if there was ever a soul partnership that was ever designed in the eyes of God, my parents were those people, and I'm sure yours were too, but mine certainly were. They just had destiny from the beginning of their lives when they found each other when they were 9 and 12 years old. My dad was 12, my mom was 9 in Chicago, Illinois. And at that time, you got to remember, my father was born in 1932, and my mother was born in 1935. Okay, so you got to remember that in that time, a Scot-Irish, German-French girl with auburn hair and skin as white as it could be, with brown eyes, and her dad, my grandfather, who was like a 6'3", 300-pound Pana country boy from Illinois, a Pana farm boy from Peoria and Pana, Illinois, the baby of 22. He had the silver hair. The blonde silver. It was so blonde it was silver, and he had the most blue, stunning eyes. If you ever looked at Paul Newman's eyes in his heyday, the blueness of Paul Newman, the great actor who's no longer with us, his eyes. My grandfather's eyes were like that, and he was just a big, huge country boy. He had the shortest little legs, but he was all upper body. The man was massive. His hands were the size of a basketball. He was just a huge Scot-Irish farm boy from Illinois, if you can imagine that. And redneck, he made Archie Bunker look calm. He made George Jefferson look calm. If you don't know those two shows from the 70s, you got to check them out. All in the Family, and I think George Jefferson had a show, What's Happening Now? What was it called when they broke off the George Jefferson show? What was that called, the name of that show? Because he was a main character in the All in the Family. That broke off about 3 or 4 or 5 different shows. Moving on up to the east side, right? And George Jefferson. I love George Jefferson's character, that cocky little guy. Remember he used to walk like that? I loved him. Anyway, my grandfather made those 2 men look like just like kindergartners in the world of their racial quality and maybe racial inequality, at least what they had about each other. My grandfather was a lovely man, but that was the time that he grew up. He was born way back down in the 20th century, and that's kind of odd to say, isn't it? Way back down in the 20th century. Wow, that's the first time I've said that on the radio. Way back there in the 20th century, when I had some teeth and I had hair and I could walk and run. Yeah, I feel like that, don't you, sometimes? Anyhow, way back there in the early 1900s, my grandfather was born, not too far after the Civil War. In fact, some of his brothers, his older brothers, they were born at way back in the 19th century. And, one of his oldest brothers was born in like the 1880s. My grandfather was born 20 years after the fact. So, he was just 15 years outside the Civil War. And in Illinois, that was kind of one of those rubber states, down at the tip of Illinois, how it's shaped, right down there where it kind of touches the top of the South. And, it was one of those rubber kind of states, And, of course, it's the land of Lincoln, of course. But anyhow, that's how far back my grandfather was born. Amazing when I think about it, how exciting it was for me growing up to be a part of his generation and to learn from somebody who lived in that time. Anyhow, so they're in Chicago, and my dad, who is a dark Spaniard or a dark Italian guy. I mean, he's darker than some black folks, okay? I mean, his skin naturally has that olive, that dark complected Mediterranean, Italian, bristly black hair, when he was younger, and those features that folks have like that in the Mediterranean, in that part of the world, that were both Spanish and Italian and Portuguese, and that mixture in there. That was my dad. So growing up in Chicago, my dad was born in Chicago. So growing up in Chicago, he grew up in a Goombas neighborhood. He grew up as an Italian kid in a neighborhood. There weren't anybody that really spoke a lot of Spanish in Chicago at the time. There were people that did. There were Mexicans and there were Spaniards. There were some very, very small selective Puerto Ricans, very small. They were mostly in Florida and Philadelphia and New York. But in Chicago at that time, in the 1930s, there was a very large Italian presence in Chicago, and a huge Irish presence, Scottish and Irish people. In fact, Mayor Daley ran that town like an iron fist, and he was an Irish guy, and he ran that town for decades. And Capone was an Italian guy from New York who went to Chicago and organized all that stuff and was able to make all his money from Kennedy bootlegging money during Prohibition, who was an Irish guy from Boston. So you see, you get the figure of the mix there. There were Polish people. There were lots of black folks in Chicago at the time. And so, he had that kind of mix. Okay, so my dad was, my grandfather called him El Diablo, the devil. And so there was no way in God's creation that my dad was going to date his daughter or even meet his daughter, but they did. He kind of roamed around the same neighborhood. And so, you got this Scot-Irish, my mom's skin. I mean, if you put her out in the sun for 3 minutes, she's frying like a piece of bacon. It's unbelievable. But so that was my mother and my father. And they got together. They were souls from time immortal, and they lived a great life together. And my dad, just a supreme quality of a man. Couldn't ask for a better father. Couldn't ask for a better Man couldn't ask for a better husband, a provider, a man who worked, and his family was absolutely first. Just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful life they had together. So, but that's kind of the mix that they were in terms of that. So, we kind of grew up. I kind of grew up in that family structure. You had my dad's side, and you had my mother's side. And my dad, we didn't know too much about him because he left home when he was 9. So never really went back either. And that's how times were then. So when you think about, the mixture of people and the mixture of races and blood and DNA, this is how, America became America. So in my observations driving around town, I look at things with a kind of a very kind of neutral eye. But I ask why? Why is it? Well, my question, my observation for the last couple of days is, what's happened to all the white people? Where have they gone? I drive around Southern California because I'm basically Southern California bound here. My family's here. I work here. I've been here for 54 of my 55 years. So what's happened to all the white people? Where did they go? Where did they magically disappear to in my lifetime? I mean, it used to be a long time ago when I was a teenager and a kid, there were white folks everywhere. You couldn't get away from white folks. They were everywhere. Now, right now, today, according to the United States Census, there's about 225 to 227 million people of Caucasian understanding. And Caucasians, well, where did that come from? How did white people be named Caucasians? Where did that come from? Well, this is a really interesting topic because, you see, there's an area up near Russia where Russia meets the Baltics. And there's a strain of mountains in there, and it's called the Caucasus Mountains. And the Caucasian people really are a mixture of all the people from that region, the Baltic people and the Russian people. And that's where the word Caucasian came from the Caucasus Mountains. And that word was first penned in 1797, out of Europe. There was a gentleman who figured this all out. He was one of the first guys who tried to follow, bloodlines and kind of tried to figure stuff out. And that's where Caucasian people came from. And that word kind of has stuck over the years. So when I found that out, I said, okay. Also then, that bloodline would have traveled through Norway and into Finland, what is today, and into Greenland, and into the Dutch or the Netherlands. And those people were basically called the Vikings. And the Vikings, who were from the Caucasus region originally, that mixture of bloodlines, not just one race, it's a mixture of Caucasian-type races, okay? And those people came and sailed down the Atlantic, and they conquered Greenland, and they conquered the British Isles. They never really conquered them, but they were always raiding the British Isles because most of the people from Britain or England came from what is now known as France. They came across the English Channel. So you had the Vikings coming down for hundreds and hundreds of years doing what they're doing, and then you had the French, they weren't known as French then, coming across the Channel, and that was mixing in there. And that created basically what is Scotland and Ireland and Wales and England. Okay? And so that mix then went back into France, or what is France, okay, and Germany and Bavaria and Austria and Switzerland and those countries right in there. So that's kind of how the Caucasus or the Caucasian race kind of created itself through traveling and trade and conquering and raping and pillaging and all the things that you realize took place there in that. in that region. And so that's where white folks came from. They came from those areas. And then they came down south into the Mediterranean. And when they got to the Mediterranean, they were hit by another bloodline. And that bloodline came up from the North African continent. And it came over from what is now known as the Middle East, okay? The Middle East. And that was after World War II. It became known, actually after World War I, it became known the Middle East because of the Hellenic line that was driven by the English when they took over that area. I believe it was a Hellenic line. I may have that word wrong. But anyhow, they divided the Middle East in half, okay? And so what happened, those bloodlines came over and met the Caucasian bloodlines and created Italy and Sicily and Greece, also created Portugal, Spain, Algeria, Libya, Egypt, and the Jordanian area, and the Pakistanis and the Afghanistans and the Armenians and the Turks. Okay, they were also had bloodlines that came down from Mongolia and China and Russia that came down in there. So that's how sort of our populations in a quick little kind of historical and in terms of understanding how they traveled around, a quick little assessment right there. The reason why I bring that up, because I asked the question, where have all the white people gone? Where are they? They've disappeared. They've just completely disappeared. Very few white people I see driving around Southern California. And I can speak to this because I'm a half white boy. That's right. I'm a half white boy. I'm like the perfect European mix. I got some white boy up in me and I got some brown boy up in me. You see what I'm saying? So what happened to him? Well, that's interesting. I think that aliens from outer space have come and captured all the white people. That's what I think. I've come to the determination that white people have absolutely just gone insane. Because the few that are left are insane people. They're like crazy. We were cruising the internet the other night here at the station, and we saw some white people under the age of 20, and they were doing the craziest things on the internet. I mean, they're sticking bananas in places. They're sticking pencils up their nose. They got the pink and purple and green hair. They're having fun with the Cheerios box. They're on the ground with windmill legs, singing some weird, stupid song. I mean, they're jumping around like they're all swashbucklers. You know, swashbuckler is, right? That's an old thing. I just got myself in trouble. I know, but that's okay. Look it. What's a swashbuckler? I don't know. I'll let you figure it out. Go on the internet and figure it out. But it's like metrosexuals. What's happened? And now Bruce Jenner. Now Caitlyn Jenner wants to become Bruce Jenner again. On NBC News, this is a valid source. He did an interview yesterday, and he's tired of being Caitlyn Jenner. He now wants to be, or whatever the heck his name was. He's going to stop the estrogen shots. And he wants to be known as Bruce again. See, I said right from the beginning, this was just a promotional media hype for him because he's an insecure guy who always had to be on the Wheaties box. You see? And that's a white boy right there. That white boy, you know, the Kardashians, right? They got all the spotlight when they came into his life, and they made all the money. And you know, Bruce Jenner was regulated to the guy coming out of the back of the kitchen, right? He was regulated to driving the kids somewhere when they were younger and the show was on. He was regulated to being nothing, you know. And you know, you marry that Kardashian woman, oh my gosh, you know, I mean, I can't even imagine being married to her. I mean, my goodness. I'm sure she couldn't imagine being married to me either. So it goes both ways. But here's the point. The point is Bruce Jenner got jealous. And I said this right from day one, that this is just a ploy. You know, he talked about getting his wing wang whacked off, right? I call it a wing wang whack off, right? Yeah, right. The triple W. He tried to get that triple W. He never got the triple W. He never was going to. He got his hair growing long. He got a good makeup artist. He started talking like this. Hi, I'm not Jesse anymore. I'm Jessica. Right? He started doing that. Right? And wears the dresses, gets the photo, I think it was in Penthouse magazine or Maxim magazine or Playboy or whatever he was done with the photos in there, right? And takes a few estrogen shots, so gets man boobs. He got man boobs now, right? Got them man boobs running around, right? And now, yesterday, sure and behold, NBC reported, and you can check it out, that he decides that he thinks he's going to go back to becoming Bruce again. Well, he can. All he has to do is stop the estrogen, and, his man boobs will stop growing, and he didn't get his wing-wang whacked off, so he can do it. But here's the point. The point is, that guy's a white man. I mean, what is it with white people? After my research on the internet last night, I've decided that I think that white people have just gone crazy. I think that if the white generation under the age of 20, if the white generation under the age of 20, their parents took way too much Viagra and Cialis before they were born, because it's just done something to their DNA. I don't know what it is, but I have seen in the last 24 hours a bunch of white people doing weird stuff. Now, so that got me to thinking, okay, how come white people are always the ones that are the serial killers? We never see a brown serial killer. We never see a Mexican serial killer. I suppose that if we were Mexico, we would. But in America, we never do. We hardly see a black serial killer. Those two cats who used to shoot people out of the back of their trunk, those two guys in D.C., they were driving around. They had the hole in the back of the trunk, and they'd stick their 30-06 out the back. The young kid was, and they would take shots at people, right? That was like the only two black guys that were serial killers. Now, think about that for a second. Just think about that for a second. Every serial killer that you can think about in the last 20 years of your life, I know they are not Asian. I know that for a fact. They're white. Think about that for a second. In fact, you know what I did? I got so interested in this last night that I pulled up the 25 of the most evil serial killers in America, right? The 25 top. And I said, okay, there's got to be a Mexican guy in there somewhere. We've got to have equal rights in the serial killer industry. All right? We can't just have lopsided. There's racial inequality and discrimination in the serial killer industry. Okay? Because it's got to be equality here. In fact, I think Jesse Jackson and Ralph Sharpton should be picketing out there. They should have more black serial killers and more Mexican serial killers and more Asian serial killers. I'm upset that we don't have a rainbow coalition of serial killers. They're all white. Go figure. How about this one? Remember this guy? You know this guy. David Berkowitz. Remember David Berkowitz? David Berkowitz was the son of Sam. Now, he goes back a little while, right? He's number 25. 25 worse. David Berkowitz, a white guy. Just because you're Jewish, that's about faith, okay? That's not a ethnic background. That's a faith you believe in. So David Berkowitz carried out a series of shootings in the summer of 1976 using a .44 caliber Bulldog revolver. He shot 6 people dead and wounded 7 others in New York City. And he had that town locked up like, an iron fist. People were afraid of this guy. They were afraid to go out. Eventually, he was captured in 1977. He confessed to all the killings and was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison for each murder. So, he's going to die there. But a white guy with like blue-green eyes. I mean, this guy's a real white guy. See, I'm a half-breed white guy because I don't got blue-green eyes. I got brown eyes. So you see, I'm what Cher used to sing about. Half-breed, that's me. Okay, so how about this other guy? Number 24, Edmund Kemper. Now, a lot of you don't know who Edmund Kemper is. Edmund Kemper is an American serial killer and a necrophilia. He liked to mess around with dead bodies. You know, what he did, he carried out a series of brutal murders here in California in the 1970s when I was a kid. He murdered his grandparents when he was 15 years old, and then later killed and dismembered 6 female hitchhikers in the Santa Monica Mountain, Santa Cruz area. And then he murdered his mother and one of her friends before turning himself in to police a few days later. He was found guilty in 73 of 8 counts of murder, and he asked for the death penalty. But instead, he received life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. The dude asked for the death penalty, and we didn't give it to him. Please, oh please, will you give me the death penalty? Please, please give me the death penalty. Oh, no, you can't have the death penalty. Thank you. No. We're still taking care of this character, okay? How about these two guys? Lawrence Bittaker and Roy Norris, nicknamed the Toolbox Killers. These are all white guys. The Toolbox Killers are 2 American serial killers who together murdered 5 young women in California in 1979. Now, why aren't there any black guys yet? Or Mexican guys, or Asian guys, or Hispanic guys? Or Armenian guys. Or how about some Polish guys? Well, they would be considered white. So, yeah, because they're part of the Caucasian mix. So let's think, how about some Aborigine guys? Why don't we have any of that going on here? Okay, let's go. These 2 guys, they killed 5 young women in 79. Boy, the 1970s, there was a whole lot of killing going on in California from serial killers. I think that was all the drugs from the 1960s. Probably affected them, like Viagra and Cialis has affected this new white generation. I'm telling you. And don't be taking no Viagra and Cialis, guys, if you want your kids not to grow up with windmill legs and sticking stuff up their noses. Okay, anyhow. So we go back, 22, 21. Oh, I remember these guys. Remember the Hillside Stranglers? Buono and Bianchi? The Hillside Stranglers, what they did is they captured little girls between 12 and 28 years old, strangled each victim in the hills above Los Angeles, which led them to being known as the Hillside Stranglers. They attempted to plead not guilty by way of insanity, but were found to be faking their mental illness. Both were sentenced to life imprisonment. Life imprisonment again. I think that was a time that California wasn't doing the death penalty, I think in the 70s, because it came back into play here at some point. www.thepowervoices.com. It's the Jesse T Show, and we're live at 5 from 5 to 6 right here on your radio, on your internet radio, from the community to the world on Facebook and on Stream Up and YouTube Live and AVTV Live, Facebook.com/Jesse Terrero, and also on Periscope and Livestream and Instagram and so many others. We're just about everywhere because we want to make sure that you have a chance to participate with us and we can engage you in some interesting and kind of different topics. So these guys, they've been sitting in their cell since 2002, but Bruno died of a heart attack in his cell in 2002. So if we go a little more, I want to know who the top five serial killers. I'm just looking for somebody of color. That's what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for somebody of color. Because you see, what about Dennis Rader, the BTK killer? Remember him from 1991? Yeah, remember this guy? He sent taunting letters to the police under the name BTK, which stood for Blind, Torture, Kill. This nuthead, right? He's a white guy. Remember Donald Gaskins? Number 19, worst serial killer in America, another white guy. Hey, Peter Manuel. Hey, man, he was a Scottish serial killer living in America and Scotland. Yeah, another white guy. John Hay, another white guy, right? Fred and Rose West. Hey, more than a white guy. It's a white girl. There we go. All right, well, look at. I'm just trying to find somebody who's of color. Okay, just trying to find it. Arthur Shawcross, another guy. Peter Sutcliffe, another guy. We finally found one. We finally found. Strike the band. Let's get the music going. We found a serial killer who wasn't a white guy. Richard Ramirez. Remember Richard Ramirez? Richard Ramirez was an American serial killer, and he loved Satan worshiping. He terrorized Los Angeles between 84 and 85, and he was named the Night Stalker. The Night Stalker. He broke into people's homes. I remember this. And many of the victims, shooting, stabbing, raping, mutilating his victims, who ranged between 9 years old and married couples aged in their late 60s. Notably, he smeared epitaphs of Satanism all over the walls of his crime scenes. He was captured in 85. Ramirez now sentenced to death and remained in California's death row now for 23 years until he died in his cell in June of 2013. Richard Ramirez, a Mexican guy. Finally, a Mexican guy is a serial killer, not a white guy. Okay. Richard Ramirez, actually, the Hillside Stranglers, what they did at 1580 K-Day, the original studio at Glendale and Alvarado, there used to be a lot of ivory on one of the slopes of the studio as you came down a road that had a white fence on it. And the Hillside Stranglers had killed a little girl and dumped her body in this really thick, green, big-leafed ivy right there in the studio, right in front of the studios of K-Day, right there. And they found her right there. Dennis Nielsen, another white guy. All right. You see, there's just no serial killers. See, what happened to white people? Have they just gone crazy? Have they just, has their minds been destroyed by some bacteria that eats away at their brains? I mean, you're having a Coors beer and you're eating a salami sandwich and you say, you know something? I'm going to go on the internet and do something really stupid, get a lot of tattoos, and I'm going to go out and become a serial killer. You see, look at this. Remember To Catch a Predator on MSNBC? That was on for like 10 years. And it was done in communities all around America, not just California, but all around America. And they would put these fake ads up, and these people would contact these little girls or little boys to come over to try to have sex with underage children, right? And the cops would be all around hiding, and then they would come out and they would grab the guy when he showed up after he, kind of got caught. I was watching that, for about a month because it fascinated me that somebody would walk into some stranger's house naked, just walk into the street because he thinks some little girl is there. I mean, most of those guys were white. There were preachers, there were doctors, there were policemen, there were military guys, there were, Boy Scout coaches, there was high school coaches, there were regular contractors, it covered the whole gamut of our society. Education, employment, income. Some would drive up in their truck, some would drive up in their Lamborghini. I mean, are you kidding me? Most of them were white. I'm telling you, the white folks in this nation have gone insane. Where did they go? What happened to the good ones? The only ones we know about are the ones that seem to be crazy, insane, or they've disappeared. You know what I think? I think all the white people have moved up to Montana and Idaho. I think they moved to Wyoming. That's what I think they've done. They've gone to Wisconsin. They've gone to Washington. And I think they're making moonshine. They're making moonshine in the mountains or growing pot. MJ, right? And what they're doing is they're working late at night. And what happens is aliens come and pick them up and take them away. That's what I think is happening. They're getting abducted by aliens. And not aliens from across the border in Canada or aliens from across the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific Ocean or south, Well, I'm talking about those aliens that come in on spaceships, like Independence Day, the movie that was just released a couple of days ago. Didn't do so good at the box office, I hear. But I'm talking about, I think they're being abducted. They got to be going somewhere. Or something's happened. Have you noticed that all the people on Jerry Springer's show in the beginning were all white? Now, somebody in the Jerry Springer show said, Jerry in Chicago, he said, Jerry, baby, I love you, but you got to get some people of color in here. You got to get some people of color, right? And then you started all of a sudden seeing a lot of African-American folks, black folks. But we're the Mexicans. Are Mexicans not crazy? Are Latinos and Hispanics not crazy? Are they the only ones in this country today that aren't crazy? Are they the only ones that got their brains screwed on right? I don't know. But I know that Jerry Springer, man, he just pranced them out there. White guy, white girl, white guy. And I swear to God, I don't think any of them ever went to a dentist. They had the craziest wacky teeth. That's every time that someone came out, I would look at their teeth. And then I could tell their intelligence, okay? The teeth and the intelligence come together, all right? Because you ain't got no money, then you ain't going to get your teeth fixed, all right? You ain't got no money because you got no intelligence. Have you noticed this? Have you noticed this? This is crazy. This is crazy. When you talk about Caucasian people. Have you noticed that they're all heavy? Why are they all heavy? But why are they all heavy? I don't know. I just noticed these things. They're all heavy. Are they eating too much heavy food? What's going on? You see, there's something that's happened to the white race, the Caucasian race in America over the last 50 years of my life. Most of the folks that are entering the military are all people of color. It seems to me that most of the folks are Latino or Hispanic or black, Asian. There's a certain amount of them that are Caucasian. But it seems to me that our military has kind of tried to figure out where all the white people have gone. Where are they at? And why do they do such crazy things? It just blows my mind. Now, if you think about this, how come black people are always shown to be angry? Why are they always shown on TV and in the news and on the internet to be mad? Why is that? Why are they always yelling at somebody? Why are they always angry? Why do black people all want to look like a thug? Why is that? I'm walking over to the chicken place just a half a block down here the other day to get some chicken, right? And it's like 9:30, 8:30 at night, and these two little young kids, African-American kids, they couldn't be much older than 14.
Punks.
And they were just punks. And they said some things to Lee and I, and we just were astonished. Now, why is it that it's like every young black kid wants to be a thug, wants to live the thuggery lifestyle? Why? I don't get it. I don't understand. How come there are no white people in basketball anymore? What happened there? You telling me in America there's nobody over 6'5" who's white? Are we a bunch of little people? I mean, really? What happened to all the white people that used to play in the NFL? Why is it that only black people can sing songs and make pop hits? What's going on there? Do white people all of a sudden sing off key? Did that end at 1950? I mean, what happened there? I don't know. What's going on? Why is it that there's no Mexicans in basketball? There's no Latinos, no Hispanics. Are you telling me that there's no Hispanics that can play basketball? I tell you, I've seen some cats play ball that are named Gonzalez and Ramirez and Sanchez and knock your socks off. How come there are very few people that are Asian in baseball, that are Americans? Most of the Asian guys that are playing in baseball come from Korea or they come from, China now or Japan. Now, don't get me wrong. They're great baseball players over there. They got a great league. I mean, look at Ichiro. He broke Pete Rose's record, though he really didn't break it. Because if you add Pete Rose's minor league record into his hits, it far surpasses Ichiro's league in Japan, because the Japanese leagues are like the triple A compared to the major leagues here in baseball. But are there no Asian baseball players in all of America who are Americans that can play ball? Why is that? I don't know. How come in MMA, the only boxers in boxing today are Latinos and black guys? How come in MMA it's a sport of white people? What is it with white people? They like to get in a ring and beat each other up? I don't know. I don't get it. I just don't understand. I try to understand. I really do. How come Latino people of Hispanic nature, they drive pickup trucks? Why is it? Do they don't know how to drive a car? Well, I got an idea. Here's why. Because we employ them in jobs of construction and electrical repair and house building and skyscraper building. They get employed in jobs where they're craftsmen. They've earned a trade, a craft, and you got to have a truck. Okay? How come in poor neighborhoods where there's all kinds of white people, black people, brown people, but there's no Asians? Are Asians smarter than everybody else on the planet Earth? Is that true? How can that be? In China, up to 1973, they were living in a Kung Fu nation dated 1214 before 1973. How come there are no Asian folks in black and white and brown neighborhoods who are socially, in terms of academic levels, are lower? How come? What happened there? See, I drive around and I ask these questions to myself all day long. How come 7-Elevens and Circle K's are owned by people of Indian descent, Pakistani or Indian descent? Why is that? Does 7-Eleven actually say, Mr. Gonzalez, Mr. Wilson, Tamika Johnson, you guys can't own a 7-Eleven because we have to have an Indian own it? And when you think about that, how come there's no American Indians that own a Circle K or a 7-Eleven? What's up with that? You see, I look at these things all day long when I drive around. I see stuff and it drives me insane. It just, because I ask the why and I don't have an answer, but it drives me crazy. How come young people want to wear their pants below their asses? I mean, what if you get diarrhea? I mean, come on. What's that all about? Girls, how come you got tattoos all over your body now? What's that about? I don't get that. I don't get tattooing yourself from your ear down to your toes. I just don't understand it. Everywhere I go now, a woman has to have a tattoo. You find that sexy? I think it's trashy. I'm sorry. That's what I think. And if you got a whole body full of tattoos, imagine what you're going to look like when you're 92. Because you can't get them all off. That's expensive. You can't get new skin. And did you know that if a man gets a tattoo on his arm and a woman gets the same tattoo on her arm, that ink that gets imposed into your skin, medically, the doctors have proven that ink becomes more toxic in a woman's chemical body in her chemistry, that ink becomes more toxic than a man. Same tattoo, same ink. And that ink affects a woman's body and her biology at the chemical level a tremendously, diversely different way that is more negative to good health later on in your life. A lot of people don't know that. It's been proven. Look it up. So you see, here's the thing. What's it with all the metal in the face, guys? I don't understand that one either. Let alone the metal in your genitals. I don't get that one. Women, why do you put metal through your genitals? Men, what is it with that? Why do you got metal in your genitals? I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. Really? I think I'm going to walk around with a big magnet. That's what I think I'm going to do. Heck, you don't need Viagra if you got metal in your genitals. You just need a big magnet. That's that. Then you can go down to 7-Eleven and buy the Magnum Trojans. We'll call you Magnet Man. I mean, you see, yeah, that's right. I mean, I don't get it. I never understood that. And why the use of profanity? What is this? What is this profanity stuff? I mean, in school, did you learn how to say profane things? Is that how you talk? Well, what's the use of profanity all the time? I don't understand that one either. Don't get it. You see, I drive around all day long wondering where the white people go, wondering why black people are shown to be always angry, wondering why Latinos can't play basketball, wondering why people like to put metal in their genitals, wondering what is it with all the tattoos, wondering what's going on? What's happening? I just observed stuff and I scratch my head. I don't have an answer. I used to have an answer, but I don't have an answer anymore. I just got a question. Is that what our world is leading to? Is that where we're going? Is that the next generation of people who are going to inherit this planet? My goodness. What has happened? Here's another one. It drives me insane. It just drives me crazy. Okay? How come taxi cab drivers don't speak English? Why is that? Do they teach that in taxi cab driving school? Not to speak English so you can lengthen the fare? What's that about? And in New York, there aren't any white people driving taxi cabs. Yeah. In fact, I don't think you're allowed to drive a taxi cab in New York if you're white. Certainly not if you're Mexican or Hispanic or Latino. You got to be something Pakistani or Indian or New Delhi or Sri Lanka. And how come people don't use deodorant? What's that about? It drives me insane to be standing in line and smell somebody else's BO. You know what I do? Hey, can I buy you a stick of deodorant? I say that. Oh, I get myself in trouble. You have no idea how I get myself in trouble through the day. You just have no idea. I can't help but being me, Jesse T. Hey, I'm just the brown beauty on duty, and I'm just looking around and stuff and observing stuff. I just can't help being me. I got to say what I got to say. Something else that drives me absolutely insane. It makes me pull the hair out of my head. Okay? Here it is. Why in rap music? Now, I go way back to rap music. I'm one of the OG guys here on the West Coast. Okay? Why in rap music does everybody have to sound like they're trying to do rap music? You know, it's like da 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 da. They all get this, why can't a Latino guy do rap music in a Latino way? Why does he always have to have this kind of tone quality to his voice? Why does it all have to sound the same? Drives me crazy because I remember when rap music didn't sound the same. And it was very diverse. Crazy, man. Just crazy. I talk about my observations today because I wanted to put some stuff in your head as we involve ourselves in the 4th of July weekend. Ask yourself some questions. Look around and observe people. Look at yourself in relationship to your world and say, what's going on? Why are things the way they are? I propose the fact they're the way they are because we're being controlled by a higher order that want it to be this way. People don't do this naturally. And that itself is dangerous when you can be controlled by something you don't even know. Open your eyes, open your ears. Let's get out of here and have a great 2016 4th of July. Be careful with the fireworks. Why is it that people do stupid things around fireworks when they know that those are things that explode? They put them in cans and bottles and they stand around and they watch them. And then they get glass in the eye. Why do they like to blow up mailboxes? What's that all about? Don't get that one. 4th of July is a celebration. Do you even know what 4th of July is a celebration for? It's the celebration of our independence. It's a celebration of our independence from a group of people across the Atlantic Ocean that imposed themselves upon us, the English. But you know something? They still do. Do you know how much we support England? Do you think for 1 second the Brexit would have happened without America giving the nod and the okay? Do you think that would have took place? Do you think we're ever going to let England fall? Never. Scotland, Ireland, Wales, we will never let them fall. Never. That didn't happen per chance. And always remember, nothing is as it seems. This is Jesse T, live at 5 from 5 to 6, hitting some observations today on thepowerofvoices.com. Join us tonight at 9 o'clock at ATV Live in the Digital Broadcasting Network on Facebook.com/Jesse Terrero. You have a great day, and thanks a lot for listening. Thanks a lot for watching. And hey, hang in there. Be safe. Love your family. And God bless America. The Brown Beauty is off duty. See ya.